Hello again. So this time we're going to talk about other item formats. Last time we talked about kind of the classic polytomous and binary choices. This time we're going to talk about other types, such as Likert scales, uh, where you are probably very familiar with these types of scales. Essentially, you indicate on some kind of rating scale how you feel about about a statement, and these can range from strongly disagree to strongly agree. There's lots of different choices on how these are rated. Let's see, do I? Yeah, um, as we can see here. Now, uh, there's lots of choices to be made for Likert scales. So odd versus even. So the number of choices you have uh, encourages and discourages various behaviors. So even numbered choices prevent fence sitting. And fence sitting is the process of just picking a value straight down the middle. Um, so say let's just do, you have three choices. Agree, neutral, or disagree. Fence sitting would be to pick the value in the middle and just do that straight down. And it doesn't force you to have an opinion. Versus an even number system where, say, we have four choices: strongly agree, agree, disagree, strongly disagree. There's no way for you to pick the middle choice. You have to make a decision. And, well, obviously there are downsides to this, to having no middle ground, but that's kind of a choice that you as a test maker have to make. There are pros and cons. Now, these are just the most popular method ever. Like, of all the assessment types, you'll see this on a daily basis. It's in my course evals. It's everywhere. And this type of assessment is technically ordinal. Technically. And often it's assumed to be continuous if you have 5 or more choices. And when we make that assumption of continuousness, that it's, well, equal interval and all that jazz, we can calculate means, do factor analysis, do some more classic approaches. Now, obviously, there are problems with this because it's not actually equal interval. We're just pretending it is. But that's how common practice works. Excuse me, RJ. Excuse me. All right. So, let's talk category format. So, like Likert, it has many categories, but it has tons, just this ridiculous amounts. So, like a 10-point scale, just broad as possible. This is best used if you have anchors. So where you put in kind of like, so like a middle point could be like most people, and then have extreme ends, and so that readers have, or users have some reference point. So research supports the use of 7 to 21 point scales for this categorical format. Above that, there's really not a lot of nuance. Below that, you miss out on a lot of detail. There's lots of pros and cons to this technique, but these are decisions that you have to make as the test producer. Now, there are also visual analog scales. I've had to work with some of these, and I have strong opinions. I think effectively they're a weird Likert or categorical type scale. But what they require the user to, or the consumer to do, is pick on the scale that's graphically represented. And so these are often used in research with dials or knobs or just with time sampling, but you pick specifically where on the scale you are, and they measure it manually. Some really cool old school tests that I work with had it on a 5-inch scale, and the researcher like had literally an equal, it was a beautiful measure in the sense that it was continuous uh, interval scale. However, it required that people think like they had continuous measures. And so even though we had a nice like unit of, they were 2.5 inches of conscientiousness, what does that mean? So there are obviously choices to be had. Now there's more detail about this in the book and the lecture notes, but I wanted to just give you kind of a broad overview here. So that's wrapping up a couple other test formats. Now, obviously I have not covered all of them. We're going to go into checklists and other things next time. But the point I'm trying to make here is that there are lots of techniques. So choose wisely. I'll see y'all in a bit. Bye. Maybe.